From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Former President Donald Trump taking to the campaign trail in Wyoming to battle one of his strongest Republican opponents. Where he'll be and when, just ahead.
I'm Jonathan Andarian at the state capitol. Leaders say they're ready for what could be another active wildfire year in Montana. I'll have the full breakdown from the annual wildfire briefing.
6:31 on this Tuesday. Chet Lehman, Matt Elwa with you here. Fortunately, Mother Nature trying to help postpone that fire season, at least in parts of our viewing area right now.
Tune in here in about 12 minutes or so. I'll have an update on snowpack numbers.
Awesome.
And I think we'll like the results of most of that anyway.
Certainly better than we were a couple months ago.
That's right. 11/100ths of an inch of rain here at the station. Here, I don't know, basically 3:30, 4 o'clock. Temperatures right now into the 40s. We are seeing some snow in the mountains of southwest Montana, but generally wet roadways so far. Intense rain for most of the morning. We'll see this taper as you get toward the afternoon. A few spotty showers west of the divide as well. Look for temperatures to actually dip down into the mid to upper 30s at times this morning. That could be cold enough that we see some snow mix in for the Bozeman area. Mainly talking rain showers in Butte, but temperatures are going to warm up later this week. We'll talk about that, of course. I'll grab my umbrella. You should too. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Matt. 6:32. One of the most watched political races in the country this year may be in our neighbors to the south, Wyoming, where Republican Liz Cheney tries to fend off a challenge from Republican Harriet Hageman. And that is bringing former President Donald Trump to the Cowboy State later this month to campaign for Hageman. Trump says he will be holding a rally on May 28th at the Ford Wyoming Center in Casper. He's taking a personal interest in Wyoming in a big way after Cheney laid blame on him for the January 6th insurrection, voting for his impeachment, and serving as one of 2 Republicans on the Select Committee investigating the attack on the Capitol. Cheney, who was elected as Wyoming's lone representative in 2016, was then ousted by Republicans from her leadership position. Trump still enjoys enormous popularity in Wyoming, where he won the 2020 presidential election by more than 40 points. Wyoming's primary will be held August 16th. 6:33 now. Elon Musk says he's buying Twitter in the name of free speech, but that has some worried. Many have brought up hate speech as a reason to keep current rules on the platforms in place. Bo Evans takes a closer look into what is and isn't protected speech and how that could look in the future on Twitter.
Free speech. It used to be downright dangerous. Before the Founding Fathers put it in the Bill of Rights, you could be thrown in jail or even killed by the government. So that's probably why they put it down as Amendment number 1. But sometimes today we get its meaning confused, especially on social media.
It's always important to remember that the First Amendment does not apply to private actors. The First Amendment only applies to what is called state action.
This is Darrigan Silver. He teaches media law at the University of Denver, and I reached out to him because a lot of people have a lot of questions about free speech since the news broke that Elon Musk is buying Twitter.
If Facebook were to ban me or Twitter were to take down one of my tweets, all of those things might affect my ability to express myself, but none of those is a violation of the First Amendment because the First Amendment doesn't apply to Twitter, it doesn't apply to Facebook.
Just to emphasize that point again, private companies have no obligation to protect your free speech because they're not the government. And experts like Silver point out that free speech protections can be very different than hate speech. Some are worried because Musk has pledged to uphold free speech that might open the door to hate speech. Hate speech is defined as abusive or threatening speech or writing that expresses prejudice against a particular group.
Elon himself called, well, I'm a free speech absolutist, right? And he really promises to take almost no action and no restrictions on what he's going to do. That, to me, is a very dangerous thing.
Masood Akhtar is the founder of We Are the Many United Against Hate, a group dedicated to fighting hate, bigotry, and racism. Twitter's current terms of service state that hateful conduct is grounds for removal of individual tweets, suspensions of accounts, and removal of accounts. Some worry Musk might remove that language, but Musk has only said free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy and Twitter is the digital town square. I also spoke with John Vedruli, a board member of United Against Hate and the former U.S. attorney in western Wisconsin. He told me that hate speech came up in the Supreme Court in a case against the Westboro Baptist Church, and that the court came down very clearly on hate speech.
The Supreme Court said essentially that hate speech is protected so it doesn't, and this is important, doesn't stifle public debate about public issues.
So, free speech, speaking out against the government, is protected from the government coming after you in the United States. But there is no constitutional guarantee about posting hate speech. The new Twitter could allow it, or it could continue banning it. I'm Bo Evans reporting.
All right, 6:36. Someone goes missing in tribal communities across the United States every day, according to the MMIP Montana. Here in Montana, Native Americans 4 times more likely to go missing. Something tribal communities live with, but as MTN's Alina Howder reports, it's also something they're trying to solve as a community.
Every year, hundreds of Indigenous people go missing in Montana, and oftentimes it goes unnoticed, at least to a majority of Montanans. One local group is trying to change that by holding a march throughout downtown later this month.
May 5th carries huge significance for Rose Harris. Not only is it the National Day of Awareness for Missing and Murdered Native Women and Girls, it's also her sister's birthday. Hannah Harris was murdered in 2013.
She was murdered here on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation.
Rose spent years fighting to make sure Hannah's killer was charged in her sister's death. Hannah's body was found near the rodeo grounds on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation. Her killer, Eugenia Rowland, sentenced to 22 years in prison, but it wouldn't have happened without Rose.
We got justice because we had to actually go out and do the whole thing itself instead of the cops doing what they were supposed to do.
And Hannah's story is unfortunately all too familiar. One local organization, the Zonta Group of Billings, is doing everything in their power to raise awareness.
The Zonta Club of Billings is an advocacy group to empower women and girls.
The Billings chapter, which has been around since 1950, is shining a spotlight on issues like human trafficking, domestic violence, and missing and murdered Indigenous people.
We need to come to a solution and recognize there are issues with the system and fix those issues, and we can only do it as a community.
And on May 15th, they're hosting a MMIP march, which will start at the Wise Wonders Museum and end at Sky Point downtown.
There will be drummers, there will be traditional Native dancers. We'll have a prayer by an elder, and then we will have speakers telling what's happening at different levels of government, what's happening with the tribes.
The march is not only educational, but will also incorporate real stories.
We will hear from people to tell how the issue has impacted their lives.
Stories similar to Hannah's and Rose's, where cases oftentimes fall through the cracks of the system.
The families that do get justice, it's not a lot of justice.
In Billings, Alina Howder, MTN News.
All right, 6:39, preparations for wildfire season already underway here in Montana. Last year, Montana recorded one of its most severe fire seasons since 2017, with wildfires burning as late as December when one tore through the town of Denton. According to Northern Rockies Coordination Center, Montana saw more than 2,500 wildfires in 2021, burning a total of nearly 750,000 acres. This year, authorities are again preparing for dangerous conditions. MTN senior political reporter Jonathan Ambarian was at the state's annual fire season briefing and has the latest.
On Monday, authorities told Governor Greg Gianforte there's reason to expect another active fire year. They held their annual fire briefing earlier than usual, in recognition of the fact that Montana is seeing more fires outside the traditional fire season.
We learned many valuable lessons from the 2021 fire season. One of them being that we can no longer think of wildfire in terms of a season. Wildfire poses a threat to our communities year-round.
The Northern Rockies Coordination Center reported Monday that Montana has made some progress in catching up from last year's dry conditions, but they're still expecting to see more fires than average this summer, particularly east of the Continental Divide. State, local, and federal agencies all participated in the briefing, stressing the importance of working together to respond to fires.
Montanans can have confidence in this team's ability to respond to whatever challenges this wildfire season is going to bring us.
Gianforte emphasized he wants the state and its partners to focus on aggressive early attack to put fires out when they're small. He pointed to the state's efforts to expand forest management and fuels reduction, and the decision to raise pay for seasonal firefighters. Also on Monday, Gianforte signed a proclamation recognizing May as Wildfire Awareness Month and encouraging all Montana residents and visitors to be prepared for fires and to recreate safely in the outdoors to reduce the chance of human-caused fires. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
All right, thank you very much, Jonathan. Time for another break here on Montana This Morning.